Hi everyone, David Chan here, MLA for Yorkton. I just came back from Rolling Barrage, which brings bikers together to ride across Canada and raise awareness for PTSD, specifically focused on helping men and women in the armed forces, veterans, police officers, first responders, and frontline workers. You know, some of you know that prior to entering into politics, I worked in mental health, so this cause is something that's really near and dear to my heart. A lot of people struggle with PTSD, and especially those who are on those front lines. And the worst thing about that struggle with PTSD is suffering in silence and suffering alone. When someone's suffering with that isolation, it can spill over into all sorts of mental health challenges. But I want to thank Rolling Barrage for bringing awareness to mental health and PTSD. It's wonderful to see that in combating the stigma of PTSD, you know, which isolates, that Rolling Barrage is actually bringing together a supportive, connected community, you know, which is what we need. I also want to show gratitude to those first responders, to our men and women in uniform, to our armed forces, our veterans, and the families who support them in that journey. I love that Rolling Barrage has chosen to focus on these brave individuals. I had the opportunity to interview a fellow there, and he had a really interesting story and a really interesting perspective. One thing he also shared off of camera was how Yorkton has a reputation among Rolling Barrage. I mean, these guys go all across Canada, and Yorkton's a community that they look forward to because there's so much support. So way to go, Yorkton, you know, for earning that. You know, he was saying how he wished that Rolling Barrage got a little more attention, a little more media attention and awareness. And so I thought, well, I'll do what I can and do this little interview. So I'm going to share that with you. I hope you enjoy it. We are at Rolling Barrage at the fire hall. I'm with
Pat McTiernan from Airdrie, Alberta. I'm one of the sentries on the ride. The ride is designed to raise awareness and donations and funds to assist those that have been exposed to or have PTSD. Many of our riders have been exposed to some traumatic situations, and they come to the ride to be with folks who share in some of the traumatic results of seeing things that most people don't have to contend with. Our military folks who have been abroad, the police, fire and ambulance, and of course our doctors and nurses in the hospitals.
You're doing this all to raise awareness for PTSD and the battle that so many of our frontline first responders, military, veterans are struggling with.
It is, and what this ride also affords is the ability for folks who are suffering from PTSD, who sometimes can't share this with family, they can't share with colleagues, but they come out on this ride, and we spend 3 weeks together riding across Canada, and you develop a relationship with the riders, and sometimes we share some of our experiences with colleagues on the ride who have an understanding of what you may be going through. We understand what it's done to our families, what it's done to our colleagues, what it's done to, and we're able to share that. So that relationship, by the time you get from St. John's to Vancouver, becomes one of family, becomes one of us supporting one another, long-lasting friendships and relationships. And even on this ride today, there are folks that I met last year on the ride going across Canada, and we've reconnected, and that relationship is continuing as though we haven't been apart for a year. But I would say the vast majority of the bikes that are riding in this the riders have experienced some form of PTSD or have been diagnosed, and are going through their own trials and tribulations with respect to the effects of PTSD.
And that's the hard thing though, PTSD, is that so many people suffer in silence, they suffer alone.
I was in denial for a very, very long time. As someone who was a forensic crash investigator for 17 years, I said I was okay. I retired from the RCMP in 2015, and I still said I was okay. It was last year on this ride, sitting with some colleagues that were sitting around the hotel after supper, when I realized some of the things that they were talking about I was experiencing, and I realized that maybe I'm not okay. But up until then, I was in denial. I didn't want to be a victim of PTSD, but I was. And so as a result, I've taken some steps. Once you recognize it, once you identify that's a problem, now you can help for it.
That speaks to the many spillover benefits of this.
Oh, absolutely.
Event.
Getting the awareness out, bringing people in who said I didn't know anything about the Rolling Barrage, and I didn't know that there was a conduit to raising awareness and raising funds. At the end of the day, every one of the people on this ride are here because they support. It means something incredible to them to be here and right across Canada, the relationships. And again, if we can raise the awareness and raise the donations so that we can help those that are suffering.
Well, on behalf of Yorkton and on behalf of so many people, thank you for the work that you're doing. So thank you to yourself personally.
Thank you to you and the City of Yorkton for having us and welcoming us the way you did. It's been an amazing stop in our journey, and we really appreciate everything Yorkton's done for us.
Thank you, Kat.